Welcome to our online Football Friday Night Preview. This is week number 6 of the high school season. More good matchups coming up in mid-Missouri. It's homecoming at Rockbridge High in Columbia, where the Bruins welcome the Jefferson City Jays. Rockbridge coming off a 22-0 win over Hickman in the Providence Bowl last week. That was just the second win of the season for the Bruins, while the Jays are 4-1 on the year. Kevin Kelly, the Hall of Fame radio play-by-play man for KWOS, joins us for our preview this week. Kevin, thanks for coming out. You are one busy guy, doing all sorts of high school sports for many years.
Yeah, back from Rogers, Arkansas, right? We've been on the road almost every week of the high school football season, and of course, this is my 38th year doing it, and really enjoy it. Really do have a lot of fun with it.
And you do a great job, along with
Thanks.
your Tom Kramer, too. Yeah. You guys have been working together for a few years,
I think
too.
almost 20 years now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, last week, the trip to Rogers, Arkansas, let's talk about that. The Jays fell behind Rogers 24-7. They were going to the fourth quarter.
Right.
Tell us what happened after that.
I think the biggest thing with that game is after Rogers scored to go up 24-7 late in the third quarter, they kicked off to the Jays, and most of the kickoffs in that game for both Jefferson City and Rogers went into the end zone, touchback out to the 20. This kick was returnable. Dennis Barnes returns it to the J44. The Jays then go 56 yards to get the touchdown. A little more than 10 minutes left to go in the game, they get that touchdown. So you say, all right, they're back in the football game. Defense then gets a 3-and-out, flip the field, punt return by Dennis Barnes. They get it on the Rogers side of the 50-yard line. Turn that into a touchdown with about 6.5 to go. Now you're saying, boy, this is really getting tight. 24-21. Kickoff again. Hold Rogers deep in their own territory. Another punt. Guess what? Dennis Barnes flips the field again, gives them great field position. They get the game-winning touchdown with 2:19 left to go. Then Rogers switches their quarterbacks. They were going triple option, running quarterback. They bring in their throwing quarterback. They march down the field. The game is decided on the final play, a throw into the end zone that's incomplete. What a finish for the Jays.
Certainly is. You know, you talk about the special teams making a difference there. How about this Jay team that can score on any special team, defense, or offense?
Yeah, 5 games into the season, and they have 3 pick-sixes, and they have 3 touchdowns that they returned on kickoffs. And you look at it from the standpoint that they can throw the football, they can run the football. I mean, running backs, Denzel Wilson is doing very well, Bustamante, Woods, all in the backfield. Gunnar C was like 15-17 for almost 200 yards passing in the ball game. He has some good receivers. Alan Richardson, the tight end, Daniel Ellinger, wide receiver, Adam Huff, wide receiver, Jacob Gorley. So there's a lot of weapons, and as you mentioned, they can score pretty much from anywhere on the field.
So, Kevin, this team is 4-1 right now, ranked 5th in the state. You think that's about right? Are they in the top 5 in the state,
yes.
You think?
There's no question in my mind. This game coming up on Friday night is going to be a huge football game, because this will be the only time, the second time of the season for the Jays, that they will play a team that is also in their district. Okay. So that's always a big game. It's Columbia Rockbridge. Oddly enough, you go back and take a look at the history of this series. The first time they played was back in 1994. Jays won 38-0, but you know what? That was an October 1994 game, and that was when Coach Pete Atkins won his 400th game.
Oh, is that right? I'd
so that's always an interesting sidelight as far as this series is concerned.
Sure.
The Jays are 15-7 as far as leading in the series is concerned, but the Jays won 10 of the first 11 games. Rockbridge won last year. So this is a huge football game. If they were to play the playoffs, the district's first round tonight, this is the matchup, only it would be in Jefferson City.
Very interesting. Rockbridge has a ton of talent, a very good team. They only have 2 wins, but I imagine that on homecoming they will come after the Jays. You know, you also have broadcasted Helias and Blair Oaks sports over the years, too. Talk about Helias a little bit. This is homecoming weekend for the Crusaders against St. James Academy from Kansas. Saturday night at Adkins Stadium. It's been a 1-4 start, but they'd sure like to get back on the winning track, I'm sure, this week.
I think one of the things, first of all, is how's the team going to react from a very tough loss in Columbia at Battle High School last Friday night. Lost to 28-27. The week before, played very well at home and beating Columbia Hickman. I think the one thing, there's really 2 things I think you have to keep in mind when you take a look at Helias is, first of all, I think when you look back at it, you have to realize how well that football team played last year, because it's the identical schedule that they had last year, and they went 8-1 with that schedule. This team has, as you mentioned, lost 4 times. Those 4 teams are combined 17-2.
Wow.
Undefeated as far as Bishop Althoff is concerned. Hannibal's still undefeated.
Okay.
Nix has only lost 2 games One to Francis Howell, who's ranked second in the state in Class 6. The other one to Webb City, who's the top-ranked team in Class 4. So the two losses that we're talking about as far as that 17-2 record is concerned belong to Nixa against two very good football teams.
Pretty impressive schedule, and it doesn't get any easier. You look down the way, they have to play Rockbridge, and they have to play Rockhurst.
Right.
It's not going to get any easier.
No, and this team that comes in Saturday night is 3-0 on the season. They're giving up less than a touchdown a game.
Wow.
They're very balanced on offense. So it'll be another challenge for the Crusaders. As you mentioned, Rockbridge, Rockhurst, Sullivan, 2 of the last 3 games after this Saturday will be on the road for the Crusaders. I will tell you this, though. They're 4th right now in the district, and there's 7 teams that are watching every week to see what Helias is doing as far as what the matchup might be come week 10.
It really is interesting, Kevin, when you look at that. They will be battle-tested when it comes to district time, and that's really what counts. And they've got a Hannibal in their district, and they got Mexico who's playing some good football, too. Do you like their chances, even if you only go into districts with a couple or 3 wins?
Yes. And I tell you what, you go back to the Hannibal game week 2. Hannibal's up 35-0 at the half. Helias came back and put 35 points on the board in the second half. The other thing to take into consideration, too, is Alex Fadul, the All-State quarterback from last year, was out the first 2 weeks of the season. He's back now at quarterback. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground, threw for 2 more touchdowns in the ball game against Battle. You know, and you take a look at the numbers. I mean, 1 and 4, you would think, well, they probably have to be 6, 7, or 8 in the district. They're number 4 right now. Wow. If they stay number 4, that would be at least 1 game at home.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Kevin. Appreciate all your work, and we love listening to you on the radio because you tell us all the information we need.
Well, a lot of those stats are Tom Kramer keeping a pen to the paper.
Well, we'll give Kramer a little bit of credit, but
he does a great
this
job.
guy's incredible. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks.
Other games will feature on Football Friday night. Another Columbia clash this week as Hickman heads to Battle High. The Spartans are a perfect 5-0, coming off a close call to Helias last week. Battle still ranked number 1 in our prep power poll for the large schools. It is homecoming at California High this week. The Pintos have won 3 straight after losing the first 2 to open up the season. They'll get a good test from Southern Boone, who played right with Blair Oaks last week, at least for the first half. Our KRCGTV.com sports writer Tom Leffler was at that game. You watched Blair Oaks roll to their 5th straight win thanks to that big second half effort. It was 61-26 the final, Blair Oaks.
No, hold on. I'm sorry, Blair Oaks just scored again. It's 68 to something. Yeah, it was a wild game. Once again, 30-26 at half, and Blair Oaks once again was great in the second half. But the magic number for Blair Oaks has been 109 the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago against Eldon, 109 points scored in the game, 62-47 combined. Then in the last 2 weeks, Blair Oaks has combined to score 109 points and beating Hallsville and then
Southern Boone
last week. Excuse me. I mean, so 109, that's a lot of points, but they're getting it done, obviously, on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, Blair Oaks, you watched this team. Slow starts, though, for some reason. But after that, wow, strong finishes.
Well, the starts have been just head-scratchingly weird because Owensville scored on the 3rd play from scrimmage of the game. Moberly and Southern Boone both scored on the 1st play from scrimmage, and these were not short fields. These were on the negative side of the 50. But like you said, the second half, and that tells you 2 things. These guys are in great shape. Terry Walker got them in great shape. And then also you have to give kudos to the coaching staff because they're making, obviously, halftime adjustments. You put those 2 things together, kids in great shape, great coaches who know what they're doing, who make adjustments. That's a good recipe for winning second halves.
Very good point. They head to Osage this weekend down to the lake to face the Indians, who are 3-2 on the season. Good team, but as we've mentioned, the road doesn't seem to bother Blair Oaks.
No, their last trip on the road at Hallsville, they gave up 11 total yards. That's hard to believe.
Unbelievable.
In this day and age of 62-47 games, 11 total yards. But Blair Oaks will go. They've proven they can play on the road. I don't think they'll have any problem with Osage. Osage is pretty good, but I think Blair Oaks is in a different class. I think they'll go on the road and get a comfortable win.
Yeah, those Osage Indians are good, and they are young. They're going to only get better in the next couple of years. Fulton Hornets off to a very good good start. One of the few unbeaten teams here in mid-Missouri. They're 5-0 under Pat Kelly. 53-35 winners last week over Marshall. Travis Dean having a good year. He's a special player there.
Yes.
Fulton has had a good start. The schedule hasn't been all that strong to begin with.
Yeah, Fulton's got some talent, and I think they've beaten the teams that are on their schedule. They can't control that, but the schedule has not been that tough. but it gets a lot tougher this week. Not a little tougher, a lot tougher, playing at Hannibal, which is a very good football team. If Fulton wins this week at Hannibal, that will convince me that they're not a good team, but a very good team.
So they've got Fulton and then I think Boonville after that. Then Mexico is a very good team,
Two of the next three, Boonville's kind of fallen off after winning their opener. 2 of the next 3 weeks, very tough test for Fulton. If they could split in those games,
that'd be really good,
that would be really good.
Yeah, good luck to the Hornets. One of our best games this week in Mid-Missouri in any class, one that you'll be watching, Mexico at Centralia. The Bulldogs are 4-1. The Panthers a perfect 5-0 under Earl Bennett, the old pro.
Should be a great game. I think Mexico has a little better athleticism, but Centralia is fundamentally sound. Earl Bennett's been there 27 years. He knows what he's doing. They had a down year last year, but it's a senior-dominated team this year. They're really good. They're at home. It should be a great atmosphere. It should be a great football game.
Tony Mullen will have a report from that game at 6 o'clock coming up Friday night. A battle of the Kingdom of Callaway. North Callaway welcomes South Callaway, the Bulldogs from South. They lost that great senior class last year, and they lost their head coach, but the Dogs are still 4-1. Is that kind of a surprise to you to see what South Callaway has done this season?
You know, really, after week 5, you have a good grip on who's good and who's struggling a little bit. And South Callaway in week 2 got just lambasted by Southern Boone, 48-0. And Southern Boone has since struggled, and the team they lost to, Hallsville, hasn't scored a point since 1:30 in the morning to win in overtime. They've been shut out 2 straight games. But South Callaway, good for them. They got a proud tradition down there, built by Coach Rulo, of course, is now at the Helias, and Coach Hess is obviously doing a great job. South Callaway has really put it together, and I think they're gonna beat North Callaway, but North Callaway usually keeps it close. It's a rivalry game. They
do. Watch out for the Thunderbirds. They are pretty tough when it comes to playing their rival, South Callaway. Well, Tom, thanks a lot. You know, we talked about Kevin Kelly being here for a few years. You've been around Mid-Missouri 33-plus years, somewhere in there, and certainly have the knowledge. Thanks for being a part of our staff.
Well, it's my pleasure. You know, between you, me, and Kevin Kelly, we have over 100 years of experience in this thing. Man. And people need to appreciate not only what we have in Rod and what he gives all the viewers, you know, a great content, and he's everywhere. But Kevin Kelly, my goodness,
he's something special.
You have to appreciate him.
Yeah.
Something special indeed. Been doing this 38 years, and he's so good at what he does. People take him for granted, and they shouldn't.
Yeah, he's accurate. Sometimes I'm not. He's got his stats right, the score right, and good to listen to.
He is good.
KWS. Thanks, Tom. Some of the other games we'll be watching, a big rivalry game in Versailles. The hometown Tigers take on Eldon. The Mustangs are coming off a big 65-7 win over Warsaw. Father Tolton back on the home field in Columbia this Friday night. The Trailblazers will host St. Pius X from Festus. Boonville plays host to Kirksville. Moberly travels to Marshall, and Rolla plays at Camdenton at the Lake. We'll be live with our Football Friday Night preview at 5 and 6 o'clock from Rockbridge High in Columbia. Homecoming for the Bruins, who will battle the Jefferson City Jays. Looks like another nice night for week number 6 of the high school football season. We'll see you on KRCG's Football Friday Night.